charge online. And I know that he's got his script ready and ready to rock and roll with it. But I was going to ask him because Sandy spent so much time in Russia during the Cold War.
It's 1 o'clock and it's time
never got
for
hot.
Let's talk
Anyway, he did spend
Venezuelan.
a lot of time
Yeah,
in
let's
Russia.
talk Venezuela.
He was with the federal government.
What a
and,
week, my dear. What a
doing what
week.
He did.
Oh, yes.
And
Okay.
he
How
did
is
a marvelous
everybody?
job of it
How
because
is
he
David?
came back.
How is-
So
how are
David,
you?
I guess
David,
anytime you get out of there and you come back,
Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity. You ask how I am.
living through it all.
This
Yes,
is,
of course.
Anyway,
This is
welcome once
the
again,
privilege of
Sandy,
owning the
to
station, I
America's
guess.
Web Radio.
But I'm having a situation for anyone that's listening that is unfortunate enough to
That phrase there about flushing on this other end here.
as their telephone
Well, I
or
tell you,
their service provider.
you are an
Windstream
example
stinks.
of,
Absolutely
and there's so many.
stinks.
We as Americans,
I've got a
and
medical
I'm painting it with
priority,
a pretty broad
and they won't
brush,
even get
but
to
we
it
as
to,
Americans
what?
take for granted, and we take for granted a lot, and we don't know who's behind.
Okay, that's that. Anyway, with that being said, let me transfer a call in, and then we'll get going momentarily. But if you have Windstream, drop me a line, David at americaswebradio.com, and we're going to see if we can't do something about these folks. They are just absolutely terrible. Oh, why didn't I? Okay, let's see if we got our caller on. And it didn't transfer in. Okay, don't go away.
All right. So, how you been doing, Carlos? How
Great.
is this since last week? How is everything going?
Working like crazy. You know
Yeah.
that I work from home. For
You know-
me, the coronavirus is nothing. It's the same routine every day.
Yeah.
But it's
You know, I brought a shoe this week,
it's
right?
been hectic. Yes.
Today I brought a shoes, and you know why I brought the shoe, right?
Yes, because last week I went.
He went
down.
blank last week when we were doing the program in Spanish. So
Yeah.
last week I kicked him, and he's complaining because I kick him. Like I wake up. So today I brought the shoes, and I'm gonna do with him if he fall asleep, Bush style. You know, you remember when they throw shoes on Bush?
You got it, Mom.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get him good.
Well, what I'd hope is your caller would call back in again.
Okay, what I
Okay.
can do is
You mind texting him again and tell him to
Let's-
call again?
yes, I will. Go ahead, Carlos.
Well, today it's a very special program because we have Enio Daza in online. We are just connecting him from Miami, but also because
¿Podrías llamar otra vez? ¿Podrías llamar otra vez, por favor? Gracias.
we have technical problems right now.
Yeah, we do have technical problem.
Okay.
If we cannot get him into the radio's line, I'm gonna bring him on WhatsApp.
Okay,
So
it's
we
okay.
only, we're gonna. I'm
Okay.
ready. I am, backing up.
But the news. This is the news.
Okay.
As you know, the United States and another 22 countries are making a big leap against the drug trafficking in the Caribbean Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one of the reasons is to stop the flow of drugs and dollars
Mm-hmm.
into the Maduro regime.
Yes.
Okay. This week, Roberto Carlo Olivares, a journalist, a Venezuelan journalist that is exiled here in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote a essay named The Anchor Cartel.
The Anchor Cartel. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And what did
Okay.
he say?
He says,
Okay.
years ago, contraband from Venezuela to Trinidad and Tobago was mostly fuel and gasoline transport in peñeros, barge, and fishing boats. There was no complicity of the military and political establishment in the smuggling, or at least not a large scale. It used to be managed by fishermen and pirates from Trinidad and Venezuela. With the just a moment. Today is the day of
disaster. Today is a technical problem day.
Yes. With the arrival of Hugo Chavez to power and the corruption of the social, political, and military structures, everything changed to the detriment of the entire country. Little by little, the politicization and loss of meritocracy in the National Armed Force, together with the already national political
can you hear me?
gave way to the mafias at all levels and colors. These civil and military
Can you hear me?
criminal mafias protected at the
Hello, yeah, I
highest
can hear you.
political military level
Thank
and
you.
represented by Hugo Chavez, Minister, High Military Commands, Prosecutor Office, etc. They took over the entire nation. The country ceased to be a simple bridge to become a producer, storer, and dispatcher of drugs, gradually reviling Colombia and its drug trafficking mafias. Among so many mafias and illegal ways of making money, none has been more lucrative than drug trafficking. Today, Venezuela is producing drugs and narcotics of all kinds, dispatched from Venezuela to all corners of the planet. One of those destinations that serve as a bridge to later send cargoes to other latitudes, particularly to West Africa, in the neighboring island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. This small Caribbean nation of approximately 1.4 million inhabitants, a former English colony, located just 11 kilometers from the eastern coast of Venezuela, Delta Macuro State, and composed of a melting pot of races, it has become an essential destination for Venezuelan criminal gangs. Not enough with the mother pirates that roams the coast of Venezuela and the neighboring highland. Now we have Venezuelan military and politicians involved in the drug and drug trafficking business.
Ooh, okay.
The main mafia that operates between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago, led by the governor of Delta Macuro, Liseta Hernandez Apchi, and her brother, Rear Admiral Jose Rafael Hernandez Apchi, an alleged paragon of virtues and integrity in the military component of the naval. The governor, who has been elected and re-elected 3 times since 2008, is a medical surgeon by profession, while his brother, Rear Admiral Hernandez Apchi, is a career military graduate of the Maritime School. The modus operandi of both brothers began by using barge and small fishing boats to transport the drug to Trinidad and Tobago. Little by little, they were building a network of collaborators in both countries as the military advanced in rank in the naval and the governor consolidate an all-powerful power in the rural state of Delta Macuro. The powerful Navarro family, well known in the country, was separated from the drug business by force. More of them left Venezuela for security. The Hernandez brothers graduated to a major leagues and with the cooperation of the Real Admiral began to transport drug shipments on naval ships, also in the Navy. Many soldiers refused and discharged on orders from Hernandez Babchi without being able to defend themselves. The strategy of transporting and unloading the drugs has 2 main tactics. The first is to position the Navy ships in an unloading area previously agreed with other drug cartels and use state-of-the-art submarines and fast boats on the high seas that drug never touches Trinidadian territory. The second modality is to use all kinds of civil vessels, boats, cracks, barges, yachts, fishing boats, etc.,
Okay.
to transport cargoes to Trinidad and Tobago at night, landing point very dependent on the Trinitarian military contacts that are part of the operation. So
Okay.
the government of Trinidad is involved in the drug trafficking. That's the second denounce.
Ooh, okay.
The mafia led by the governor of Delta Macuro, Liseta Hernandez Habchit, and her brother, Rear Admiral Jose Rafael Hernandez Habchit, is known as the Anchor Cartel, about the insignia worn by naval officer of the Navy.
Okay.
That is to say, we have a Venezuela cartel of the Sons and the cartel of the Anchors, both mafia groups entrenched with the National Armed Force. Pay attention that now everything becomes more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of the present year 2020, Delcy Rodriguez, Vice President of Venezuela, traveled to Trinidad and Tobago despite the flight ban due to the pandemic. And a few days after the U.S. government declared Nicolás Maduro and several of his narco-terrorist minions offering multi-million dollars reward for them.
Okay.
Delcy Rodriguez was also accompanied by that flight to Trinidad and Tobago by the former governor of Delta Macuro, Liseta Hernandez Habchit, the governor of the Monaga State, Yelitza Santaella, and Angel Rodriguez, mayor of Caripe, a municipality of Monagas State. Curious, it turned out that the government of Delta Macuro, one of the heads of the Anchor cartel, accompanied Delcy to that secret trip.
Ooh.
Equally
Okay.
striking is that the governor of Monaga, who is 2015 had a son detained in Mexico transporting drugs, traveled in the procession.
The son?
The son, yeah, in Mexico, 45 years ago. I remember that case. In the
Okay.
same way, and even more unusual, it turns out that the mayor of a distant and rural municipality in the Monaga state also traveled with them. There is a very lucrative and everyday business among all. Drugs and drug trafficking. I confess that for the first time, I received evidence that links Delcy Rodriguez with the drug business.
The vice president?
Yes.
Okay.
I had the Rodriguez brothers are one of the mafias that have kidnapped Venezuela, but not through drug trafficking. Here I share an excerpt from the article that I blogged weeks ago where I talk about the Venezuelan mafias.
Yes.
Mafia number 5, George and Delcy Rodriguez, manage the electoral system, commissions, extortions, expropriations, great links with opposition politicians, and they control sub-mafias in different areas. They work for them. They do not respond to foreign powers like other mafia that respond for the Chinese or the Russian or the Cubans.
Yes.
They work for them.
For them.
For themselves. Concerning the Trinidad and Tobago authorities that Delcy Rodriguez met with, we have Prime Minister Keith Rowley as well as President Paula May Weeks. A parliamentary coalition system governed Trinidad and Tobago, often alliance on negotiating directly with the most significant opposition force are required to form a government. There were meetings with middle and low-ranking officials involved with the drug cartels. Right now, the International Anti-Narcotics Coalition, led by USA, watch the entire maritime zone between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. Just today, the U.S. Chargé d'Affaires for Venezuela, James Story, has just announced that the USA seized 3 tons of cocaine into planes that left Venezuela for Guatemala. Likewise, in the Trinidad and Tobago side, several people collaborated. The present situation directly involves officials for the highest political and military spheres of the island nation. So it's not only Venezuela that has involved
So
elected officials.
the tentacles, how you call
Yes,
the
it's the tentacles.
The
yeah.
tentacles is in the
It's
Caribbean.
It's a spread among, specifically they have proof of they have evidence that high-ranking officials elected and appointed
Uh-huh.
of Trinidad and Tobago are working with the government of Venezuela on drug trafficking.
Hold on, Trinidad and Tobago is one of the Commonwealth of England.
Yes, but there is an independent state. They have a president.
Okay,
and
keep going.
Okay. Evidence collected and released to the U.S. authorities,
Mhm.
as mentioned above, cannot be made public, and it would be lost validity in the U.S. court if we reveal the source.
Mhm.
That's why. But I know Roberto Carlos Olivares had. If he says that, you have to be sure that it's true,
Uh-huh.
because he saw the evidence.
Okay.
Okay? The military instructed me to make the information public without revealing a specific content of the evidence presented. Since the people involved, beginning with Delcy Rodriguez,
Okay.
were notified through the permanent channels of negotiation existing between the State Department and officials close to Nicolas Maduro.
Mhm.
Likewise, the U.S. authorities consider it necessary for the Venezuelan people to know the infectious reality of all criminals who have kidnapped and looted Venezuela.
Okay.
Roberto Carlos Olivares.
He's a journalist.
Yes, he's a journalist. Next week, I've been in contact with Roberto,
Mhm.
and he.
Are we gonna have a probability to bring him to our
Yes,
radio?
we're supposed to be talking about this thing with him today, but he has another.
Well, I got
big-
somebody on the line.
You have somebody
Yeah.
on the line.
Hello,
who's-
can you hear me, Enio?
Hi, this is Enio. How are you guys?
Hey, Genio.
Hey, Enio, thank you for calling us. Thank you for filling in. Enio, if you don't understand a little bit the question in English or what we're talking, feel free to ask me in Spanish so I can translate for you, okay?
All right, thank you very much. What I'm having a little bit of problems with volume. I'm not hearing specifically well, so I'm going to try to understand what you guys are saying. Again, thank you for having me in your program, in your show. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Did you hear good?
Yes.
Yeah,
perfect.
it's okay. Do we have to lower it down a little bit? Or
Everything is all right.
it's
For
okay?
me, it's all
Is
right.
that okay? His volume
Yeah,
is
fine with
okay, David? Yes.
Okay,
Okay, we are
yes.
fine. We are good to go.
We're
So,
fine.
so Enio, we are talking about Venezuela. You know, this is the program that we talk Venezuelan. Let's talk Venezuelans. And what we do here is we talk what's going on in Venezuela, and always we compare Venezuela situation with United States situation. Okay, so in a mode with the whole purpose to teach people to be aware of socialism, aware of communism, David, and aware of the leftist agenda, and now the Democrats' agenda right there in Miami. You are calling from Miami, and the second subject that we're going to be talking with you is what's going on with the Venezuelans. But let's finish talking about the cartel Las Anclas, the anchors. You know, el cartel de las anclas is in Spanish, but in English is the anchor cartel.
As much as I know, there is a lot of people who knew about the Anchors cartel, isn't it?
What could you say, Enio, about this news? It's not only el cartel de los soles, the cartel of the suns, the sun, but also el cartel de las anclas. What do you know about the anchor?
Well, about the Cartel de las Anclas, I haven't been following the subject from too close. I know that from the moment President Donald Trump announced this operation in the Caribbean, and specifically about a situation that went on in Valencia, in the Carabobo state, involving the governor of that state, Carabobo, about a shipment of drug that was taken in Curacao, the island of Curacao. The subject about the cartel de las sangres came to surface because it involved, of course, the governor, Rafael Lacaba from Carabobo State. Beyond that point, I don't manage too much information about the specifics of this cartel, but I can tell you that it's known for everybody that one of the after the complete destruction of the oil industry in Venezuela, drugs are being one of the main legs of support, economic support for the regime in Venezuela. Along with gold and minerals of high value like rare earths, gold and other minerals like uranium. But so far, drugs are right now the main branch of economic support for the regime.
Oh, okay. So they're having financial support in every angle. Basically, that's what you're saying.
That's how they survive, isn't it?
That's how they don't need the petroleum anymore. They don't need the oil anymore.
No.
Well, I guess they need it. They need it. I cannot say they would reject the reviving the oil industry right now, even with this situation. But they destroy it. I don't know what the reasoning beneath that. For instance, the Iranian regime still relies on oil exports for its survival. I don't know exactly what happened, what went on their minds and of the Maduro regime to destroy the oil industry in Venezuela.
Well, that's part destroying anything that is productive in a country. That's one of the strategies from communists is to disable every person in the city, in the country, in the city, in whatever industry, so they can depend 100% on the government, and the government control their life completely. You know that they have to destroy that. I mean,
yeah, of course. When in this case, the oil industry is absolutely under control of the government.
Exactly. So they have to control. I mean, remember one of the communist objects, goals is the destruction of any independent productivity, because that person or that institution or that corporation, right, will not allow the government to interact and interfere with their mentality and their belief. So they need to destroy anything that is productive, including
private business and private entrepreneurship. It's completely against the interests of any of these socialist
exactly, including the uterus. Including they promoting the destruction of babies in the uterus, because that's one way that they can control population, by controlling the number of born, people born.
Yeah, and the population base.
The population
is shrunk, and you have older population.
When they bring other population from other countries, it's what's going on in here in the United States. They're reinforcing the Africa in the black community. The ladies, is healthy for them to have an abortion. That's one issue. The second issue is you cannot afford to bring another child to your life, because you cannot pay for that. But in the other hand, while the black American are having 60 million of babies being killed through abortion, because we don't supposed to have the financial liberty to cover that expenses, because they see that as an expenses. We are seeing refugees bringing their kids from other countries, right? Refugees like Muslim countries, where a man is married to 5 ladies, and each lady have 4 or 5 kids. So, and we are supporting and we are paying all the bills for those people who are just refugees. They are not Americans, but it's like we are killing our American people, but we are substitution, right?
Yeah.
Substituting.
That is a political agenda. That is not casual. That is not random. That is a political agenda.
Exactly.
You destroy a country in Latin America and bring all these people massively into the United States. and they're going to destabilize the political system in our country.
We already.
Because in other words, they are going to support the people who are supporting the destruction of the countries in Latin America. So it's a circle. It's a vicious circle.
Yes, and we are seeing that right now since 2018, when the Congress, when people are elected to Congress, Ilhan Omar, they elected Rashida Tlaib, they elected Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, and they elected Ayanna Presley.
Yeah.
So those four ladies, we call the squad, the team, whatever.
Yeah.
They are the basic example of how they are changing American mentality to become a socialist and a communist in the long run.
And socialism is good.
Yeah.
And they say social distance instead of safe distance. You know,
yeah, they are putting in our head with an unconscious war, you know, terminologies. Everything is social. So socialism. Socialist.
And everything that is social is good. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we finished with the cartel. Can we move on to another subject?
Of course.
Yes,
of
okay,
course.
Ennio, thank you.
The thing is that it's the first time that Delcy Rodriguez, Vice President of Venezuela, is accused directly to be part of another cartel doing business with the authorities of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's not only Venezuela, it's also Trinidad and Tobago, and that gives us a clue that what would be happening in the Caribbean Sea.
Now it is a little more clear why the administration, the Trump administration, especially the DOJ, the Department of Justice, decided to move all those vessels down there.
Yes.
It's because it's not only Venezuela, it's not only Colombia, it's also Trinidad and Tobago, and probably all those little islands.
Maybe
all the way to
Guyana.
Puerto Rico, Guyana.
Maybe Guyana is also involved in this because they share a lot of borders with Venezuela.
With Suriname and, Brazil.
No, Suriname is different because those are controlled by Dutch and French. But what happened with the Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, it's a very heavy wake up call, and what might happen is an assault to Tobago, for example, okay, or Trinidad. Okay, we will right back after these messages.
Yeah, we're going to commercial.
The Docs for Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual, family, or baby boomer, email maga45cag@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at maga45cag@gmail.com.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the americasbroadcastnetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And this is Let's Talk Venezuela, and it's not La Rinconada. Okay.
Are you still there, Ennio?
Of course I am.
Okay,
I remember those. I remember the marimba. Yeah, back in those days in Venezuela.
Let me tell you, congratulations. Your English is very good. I love it. Beautiful.
Thank you. I was a little nervous just because this is my first time on radio. I wasn't
It's
sure.
okay. You just have to slow down a little bit. Let it, breathe a little bit and let it go slowly. And every single word will come out just perfect.
Thank
Don't
you,
worry.
thank you very
Calm
much.
down. Just relax. This is natural here. This is nothing. How you go fancy, right? Fancy? No, this is natural here.
We're among friends.
So, Enio, I love for you to be here in this program because I want the gossiping. You know what is gossiping mean?
Of course, chismeo.
Chismeo, hermano. Enio, I would love for you to tell me what's going on with Joe Biden and the Venezuelans and Maduro in United States, because you have a lot of contact with Venezuelans, okay? From both sides, those ones who hate President Trump and the other side who love President Trump, okay? So could you give me the scoop, please?
Yeah, well, the first thing to make clear in this subject about Venezuela is that Venezuela has always been a country whose politics is lean up to the left. Yeah, Venezuela has always been a left-wing country, and that is because that after the derrocamiento, how do you say when you bring down a dictator?
The coup d'etat.
After the coup against military dictator Marcos Pérez Jiménez, the democratic parties both were socialists, and they took over education in Venezuela, culture and education in Venezuela, and they created a national support for socialist policies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we are having here is a Venezuelan, an individual Venezuelan that thinks that socialism is okay, is fine, and the right, which represents capitalism and those ideologies that support progress and better economic outcome, they are the evil ones to consider. So what we are here is a lot of Venezuelans, especially the elites in Venezuela, are supporting Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, which represents now, at this precise moment in the United States, the left and socialism in American politics. So they are siding with the Democratic Party, and they still have a lot of influence over Venezuela and Venezuelans, and they are trying to convince that the best way to go in the United States for those Venezuelans who have the right to vote is to vote for the Democrats. And I think it's completely wrong, and I think it's completely immoral. A country who has been ravaged by socialism must support Donald Trump, must support the politics on Latin America and specifically Venezuela that Mr. Trump has brought to politics.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is that right that these Venezuelans you are in Florida, they already...
Yeah, I live in Miami.
They already declared that they are supporting Joe Biden?
Well, the political organization that stands behind Juan Guaido, the supposed president of Venezuela, and I'm not clear about this guy political situation, but the political circles around Juan Guaido have expressed already, and they are working hard to support Joe Biden for president.
Okay, do you know, like, the Vecchio, all those who visited the White House lately, did they came from forward to support Joe Biden?
There is Juan Guaido and his funny government, and the personnel around him, the functionaries included, composing the government of Juan Guaido. And then there is a political circus around them, obviously supported by Mood, congregated around Mood, and they are supporting Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, not directly Juan Guaido and his government. Yeah, because they're trying to play the game of the bipartisan support. He was in the Congress invited by President Donald Trump, and there was bipartisan support for Juan Guaido. So he cannot play directly that he support for the Democratic Party, but I obviously know that he wish he would stand behind Joe Biden.
Okay, just a moment. Can you explain me that in a slow motion, please? Because this is very. So you said that the Trump administration is giving up almost $400 million already to the Juan Guaido's to make float Juan Guaido's presidency, and you are telling me that the political coalition that supports Juan Guaido is looking forward to have a Joe Biden instead of President Trump in the presidency. That's what you are telling me?
Well, we have Houston. We have a problem, and that problem is that President Trump has to play by institutions. Okay, he has to support an institution in Venezuela. That's going to be his policy to try to bring some kind of solution to the Venezuelan problem. So he has to rely on institutions. And this Juan Guaido, who he has been misadvised on the issue that Juan Guaido represents an institution in Venezuela, which he doesn't at all. He doesn't represent any institution because everything in Venezuela is completely fake. Everything in Venezuela right now is the product of fake elections, electoral fraud, and everyone from Maduro to Guaido to everyone in the National Assembly are illegal and illegitimate.
Oh my.
So he is in this unfortunate paradox of deciding trying to help Venezuela, but he has to do it through institutions, and those institutions are funny. So he's channeling a lot of money for these politicians holding us fake government cargos. ¿Cómo se dice cargo? Fake government cargo público.
When somebody is a public servant.
This guy's holding public servant positions, and that is I honestly and personally believe that is the main reason why we haven't been able to solve anything in Venezuela, and Maduro is still in power. He insists in recognizing Juan Guaido, which is part of a fake opposition in Venezuela. He's a socialist. They are all socialists. They will never challenge the authority and the government of the regime of Nicolas Maduro, because what they want in the best case is Nicolas Maduro to come down to take over and benefit from the same corrupt system of socialism in Venezuela. So the main problem we have in Venezuela is that we don't have an opposition with ideological roots that can challenge the regime.
Just a moment. During this, slow it down, please, because I'm a little bit slow today. But tell me something. This is not the same people that just approved $5,000 of salary for the Venezuelan Congress? National Assembly.
We have. This is disgusting because companies like Citgo that operate in the United States. The government of Donald Trump took over those companies and handed it to the fake government of Juan Guaido. So they have complete control over these companies. And besides that, through USAID, the American government has given them a lot of money. I think they add up to $450 million given to them, which no Venezuelan can tell you of how this money has been spent, because no Venezuelan in one of those people who have had to leave the country through Colombia by foot, walking and going through a lot of need. None of them have received $1 from these people. None of them, $1. From $450 million from the American taxpayers, from the pockets of Americans, have been channeled to these people, and nobody knows where that money is. Besides that, they have control over Citgo and other companies, and nobody knows what is going on with Citgo, with the money produced by Citgo.
Okay, Carlos is going to speak now.
Okay,
I'm giving him a relaxed technique.
You are telling me that these SOBs from the National Assembly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they are pocket in their things $60,000 per head, while the American people is struggling here,
losing their houses,
losing their houses,
losing their
jobs, and only receiving $1,200 once payment,
and that's it.
And you are telling me that these people using USAID money that is
coming from us,
that is
from our
taxpayers' money, and you are telling me that they are taking that money and putting it into their pockets, $5,000 per month, and pocket into their thing to do what?
Well, that the money that we are spending, he's talking about the oil money. And
as disgusting as it sounds, I'm sorry to tell you that I think there is more money coming from the American government to these people.
Yes, yes. So they are collecting money from everywhere. And remember what Pizarro says. They were going to do a permanent situation in Venezuela, so the aid keep on coming every month.
Oh my.
Okay? And we, the Americans, we are talking about this. A lot of Americans doesn't know. The United States assigned millions of dollars to each country in this planet. Even Canada has money from us. France get money from us. Germany get money from us. Okay? We are the piggy bank. We are the bank of everybody. Everybody come here and ask money, and we just gave them just like that. That money is supposed to be invested in developing countries. But in this case, with these people, with these politicians, what they are doing is they are putting the money in their pockets.
Sweet Lord.
The money is not going to develop the country.
Yeah.
It's not in their convenience, in their benefit to develop the country, because at the moment the country start getting developed, the money gonna get cut off.
Yep.
This is sad. But you know what? Americans should be enraged. We enrage. Yes, because they are taking advantage of us. They're taking advantage of us, and those lobbyists, those people doing the lobbies for
Florida,
this.
Marco Rubio said about this situation.
Okay, well, I tweeted him back. What do you think about this now, Marco Rubio? I don't know. I'm waiting for him to answer back, because he's the one who took Juan Guaidó to the White House. He's the one who brought Juan Guaidó to the Senate when the president was giving the national
speech,
addressing the nation. Okay,
yes.
He's the one who brought him to the Senate, and the following day, President Trump brought him to the White House. So Marco Rubio is in this now, and now what Marco Rubio is gonna say, that these people are supporting Joe Biden to be elected in November the 3rd this year, and they are not supporting President Donald J. Trump, who is giving 100% support to the Venezuelan situation. This is crazy, David. This is crazy. What do you think, David?
Were you talking about the State of the Union?
Uh-huh.
When Trump announced what he was doing? Oh, yeah, it's beyond crazy. And they, they've obviously affected our oil business.
Mm-hmm.
Venezuela has, and I totally support make America first again, and I'm at the point with everybody else. To hell with them. We can't afford to be the police state. We can't afford to be the bank. We can't afford to be everything. We just can't do it, and it's not fair to the taxpayer that works their butt off and then gets.
We have so many homeless out there. They lose their house because they cannot pay the taxes. And then they're collecting taxes. They are selling their houses. The government take over your house. They sell it. They get whatever they need to get. And then the government is giving this money to other countries.
Yep.
It's like we are Papa government for all these countries around the planet. So
Uncle Sam. And we can't be everybody's uncle, whether it's militarily or financially or
this is
with
insane.
the crisis.
This is insane. Venezuelans supporting Joe Biden after Trump giving them this year, so much money, financial aid, everything. And they end up coming together, organizing, and they supporting Joe Biden. Can you explain me that?
No, I can't explain you that. Other than, it's like they probably say, well, Trump gave us this, but Biden will give us more. And
of course, bingo.
That's
it. You just say it.
Even though Joe Biden said that he will normalize relationships with Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, exactly the opposite.
The opposite. What Trump says last year in March when he went down to Miami in El Doral, he says the days of socialism in Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua are almost over. It's like when he says that, all hell broke loose and all demons came out from hell, and look what is going on.
And the one thing about that may be our safety net through this whole thing is that Biden probably doesn't know where Venezuela is.
Yeah, but
he doesn't know where his home is.
That's true. Or what state he's in.
Remember that regardless that Obama was the president during a year, he was not in charge of the government. Valerie Jarrett is the one who make all decisions. She was the real president. Valerie Jarrett, his staff, how you call it?
Chief of staff.
Her chief of staff. His chief of staff.
I know.
So we're gonna see probably the same thing. Let's say, I'm not saying that he's gonna win, but let's say Joe Biden win. The chief of staff is gonna be end up doing while he's lost in the hallway from the highway, in the in the hallway on the White House. The chief of staff is going to be the president.
Would be your recommendation to the President Trump with this information that the government that we are supplying money to survive now is in the other side of the politics spectrum in the United States? What do you recommend to the President Trump?
Cut. Just like, there's the old saying, who was this? Reagan, I believe, said it. If you're not for us, then you're against us.
Exactly.
And, we should take that, as far as I'm concerned, we should take that attitude across the board. If you're not supporting us or you're trying to hurt us in some way or the other, be it economically, any other way, if you're trying to hurt us, then you're against us, and we shouldn't. This thing of giving money and contributions and supplies and everything to countries that hate us is just, like you said, stupid. It's not, there's no rationale to it. No. And what I don't understand is, okay, so you've got a bunch of idiots in Congress. What the hell are they going to get out of Venezuela? A trip?
The kickback party work. That's what they get.
They get the
Look,
kickback.
if Senator Menendez from New Jersey, he is advocating in the Senate to for the Senate to release the $500 million that is frozen right now. He's advocating for that money to be unfrozen. That means send it to Venezuela. He must have, allegedly, he must have some kickback.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you're right.
What? I mean, every time that you see a representative or senator intervening and trying to help out a country that you know that is a waste of time, waste of resources, waste of effort, it's because there is some. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She was in Honduras. Oh. Okay, what she was doing in Honduras?
I would prefer not looking at her. I get sick when I do. So.
Okay, just don't look at her. But what she was doing in Honduras, where the caravan started, in Honduras.
Yeah.
What she was doing in Honduras 3 months later, to confirm and register that the money is gonna keep going. Remember, President said, if you don't stop the caravan, I'm gonna cut your money. You remember? Yeah. Guatemala and Honduras.
And El Salvador.
He took it out.
And
then she went, and El Salvador, and she went over there, and she told them, no, don't worry, we're gonna give you back your money, but you have to stop the caravan. So every time a representative or senator is advocating for other country, you always need to ask you a question: why is this SOB is advocating for a country who is hating us? Everything is against America. In Venezuela, they talk about America badly, and whoever Venezuela becomes American, they treat us as a traitors.
Enyo, what is your recommendation if you have to talk to President Trump about this situation?
I wanted to add something to the conversation first. About something that is going on in Venezuela right now.
Mm-hmm.
Venezuela right now, there is a complete scarcity of fuel. There is no gas, absolutely no gas for anybody. Most of people have seen in the news long lines of gas, extremely long lines of gas to try to get 10 liters of gas at most. And the gas is being sold at like $10 a gallon over there. So the regime has reached out to the Iranian regime for help. So they are flying these flights like 4 to 5 times a day to Paraguay, where there is one of the largest oil refineries in the world, to try to put them back in operation. But casually, there is also one of the largest bases of missiles, medium-range missiles in that place. So Americans know that Obama and Biden help a lot the Iranian regime by financing their nuclear program. So America, the United States, don't need this close relationship between Venezuela and the Iranian regime, because there is no reason to think that it's not going to be cooperation in military, both offensive as well as defensive terms, that is going to include a nuclear component. So we don't need I don't think either Venezuela or the United States or America needs another missile crisis. I don't think that's what we need right now. So we have to, every American has to think about this, and we need to address the serious problem we have with the Maduro regime in power.
Can you tell me that those Iranian missiles can reach the east coast of the United States of America?
Excuse me, I didn't understand. I'm not here to work.
Those rockets that are in
Dáselo en español.
Esos cohetes que están en Paraguaná, ¿tienen el alcance suficiente para llegar a la costa este de los Estados Unidos?
I understand, yeah, thank you. I understand that they can reach easily at least Florida. At least Florida, the southern Texas and southern Louisiana. That's medium range. They could be under easy reach of those missiles. So far, they're telling us that they are defensive anti-area missiles. There is a lot of, how they act, there is a reason why should we believe them. we all know the hate they feel for America, for freedom, for the values that this country represent.
Yes.
We have no reason to doubt that they would create a catastrophic
A
situation
conflict,
in our
yes.
continent.
Yes.
We don't have to wait for that.
Yes, okay, now we have like 3 more minutes to go because we're going to be finishing the English program. And so, please, what do you think about the Venezuelans who are getting together and supporting President Trump? Could you give us a quick information about that?
Yeah, that is completely wrong. The opposition, the fake opposition of Venezuela in the United States is leading the Venezuelans to support Trump, and I think that is completely wrong. And right-wing Venezuelans are going to organize to back that up and confront that situation in support of President Trump. America can count on that. We Venezuelans massively support President Donald Trump.
Okay, what do you think about the candidacy of Johsie Cruz concerning with this backing up?
That's something Venezuelans and Americans need badly. We need Johsie Cruz because we know she's going to be the best candidate for her constituency in the District 4 of Georgia, and we Venezuelans need Johsie Cruz because she's going to tell the truth to President Trump about Venezuela.
Okay, great. So, we would love to have you back again in English. If it's not next week, the following week, we can make a compromise marriage compromise. That will be nice. On that way, you can practice your English, and we can have more information about Venezuela because you have more information about Venezuela than what we have. Which is
Thank you very much, Johsie.
Great. Very good. Congratulations in your English. Thank you so much. I mean,
congratulations on your gossiping.
And the gossiping, and we continue gossiping about Venezuelans.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, Venezuelans supporting socialism, Venezuelans still supporting communism, and they are backing, some of Venezuelans are backing up our president to be re-elected, and of course, backing Johsie Cruz for the Congress. Thank you so much, David. And I don't know, do we still have a little more minutes?
2 minutes.
2 more minutes? Carlos, you want to say something?
Well, the program was hefty today.
Okay. If I could, I'd like to ask David a question. What is the relationship now with Iran and with North Korea and Venezuela?
Well, in North Korea, they have expressed financial support for the Venezuelan regime. So far, we don't know about any collaboration, military collaboration between Venezuela and South Korea. Iran, on the other side, has been supported for a while ago since Chavez in economic terms, military terms. Most of the Quds forces have been around the second circle of defense of Chavez and Maduro. At the point right now, Maduro is replacing their own guards because of this reward offer from the Department of Justice. Maduro is being forced to replace his own Venezuelan guards for Iranian guards.
Do you know the percentage of oil export to Russia or to North Korea or to any of the other communist states?
¿Está Venezuela exportando petróleo para Rusia y otros países?
I understand the oil exports have been severely for months already, severely reduced to the point that even to their main point of exports from Venezuela before China, before this treaty with China, is Cuba, and I understand now that we have there are shortages of fuel in Cuba, so that means not even Cuba is being attended by Venezuelan exports.
Okay.
I don't know what is the exact point of the China treaty, which China lent a lot of money to Venezuela in return for oil.
Nos vamos. Okay, we're gonna stand by. Quédate allí que vamos al español ahora. Thank you, David, so much.
Thank you.
See you next week.
If your health